Hi everybody, this is Dr. Michelle, and today we are going to make apple cinnamon crunch cake. But before we get started, let's learn about some of the ingredients. There is this word that people, they always mispronounce it, so I'm going to see how you pronounce it. Cinnamon.
Cinnamon.
No, cinnamon.
Cinnamon.
No, what would you say if I said cinnamon? No, now you got me messing it up. Cinnamon.
Cinnamon.
Min.
Mon.
What would you say if I said synonym?
Cinnamon.
Here's the phonetic spelling, cinnamon. I think we all know how to pronounce apple. Or do we?
Oh my God!
Well, since the main ingredient in our cake is cinnamon,
Cinnamon.
cinnamon,
Cinnamon.
let's just find out where it comes from. Here we are following a villager into a field of cinnamon trees. We're going to watch him harvest the bark and make cinnamon sticks the original way. Now, we know there are production facilities out there that produce cinnamon in mass, but we thought this would be interesting for you to watch. Now, what I find so fascinating is that he's going to remove these leaves from the cinnamon trees. And cinnamon is actually made from the inner bark of those branches that you see. And apparently there's essential oils in there called cinnamaldehyde. And that's what gives cinnamon its wonderful aroma and its flavor. Okay, now let's watch as he actually begins to prepare this branch to take the actual inner bark from the branch that he has. Okay, now we see he's got all his branches prepared, and look at these tools. You can see that he's actually shaving off the outer layer of the branch. Look at that. Now here we are checking back in, and we see over this period of time, look how much of that outer bark that he's removed from all of those branches. Okay, now let's watch as he's actually smoothing these branches out. You can see that they had the little knobby ends. Well, now he's taking his tool and he's actually smoothing that out. Now, remember I said earlier that the cinnamon tree, you go to get the inner bark to make the cinnamon. So now that he's removed that outer layer, here you can see he's making cuts to actually remove that inner bark. Let's watch. He's doing this with such ease. Look how skillful he is at removing that inner bark. And now here we see him smoothing out another branch, and you started to see that he's really going after that inner layer where he's finding the most aromatic part of the limb. Okay, I'm no expert on this. I'm just going to shut up so you can watch because I think this is so fascinating. Now you see that he's prepared all of those branches. He's basically taken off that inner bark and that inner layer. And now he's going to begin to put the cinnamon sticks together. I mean, we are watching a master craftsman make these cinnamon sticks. But I'm even more fascinated that he's sitting there with his legs crossed, because I have to tell you, if I was sitting on the ground like that, with my legs crossed, I don't know that I could get up. Now we're getting to the really fascinating part, how he's taking those outer thin strips from the cinnamon tree and he's actually going to start stuffing that outer layer. Now what I find so fascinating is that, remember I said earlier, the inner bark is what's used to make cinnamon. Well, what he did is he made tubes out of the inner bark, and then he made shavings out of that same inner bark, and now you see him putting the shavings inside the longer tubular cuts that he made. And you'll see why he did that. Now, I know some of you are sitting there thinking, he's doing that on the ground. Well, hello, that is a branch that he just pulled out of the ground from a tree. And this is the customary way that it's done in the villages. And so now you're going to see he's going to take those cinnamon sticks that he's prepared and he's putting them on a surface out in the sun. In this area, you're talking about probably 100-degree tropical sun that's now going to bake these cinnamon sticks. And now look for what we have. And this is the real deal. Now, you know, when we buy cinnamon sticks in the store, they don't look like that. I think they look a little bit more like this. But hey, folks, that's the power of mass production. I know by now some of you are saying, blah, 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 Dr. Michelle. Let's get on with the apple cinnamon cake. You are absolutely right. But I got to introduce Chef Charlie Andrews. He's going to be walking us through this demonstration. And oh, he's fantabulous. So get ready.
Y'all, it's Charlie. On today's episode, I'm going to be showing y'all how to make my delicious homemade apple cinnamon crunch cake. Look at how beautiful that looks. Now all this is a apple pound cake with a cinnamon swirl filling, a oatmeal pecan crust, and we glaze the cake with a apple butter vanilla almond cinnamon spice glaze. This is a great fall cake or for just about any occasion. It calls for about 15 servings or more depending on how you slice it. Absolutely delicious. So without further ado, let's get started. Alright, here's all what you'll need to make your homemade apple cinnamon crunch cake. Let's get started with our ingredients. You'll need some all-purpose flour, sugar, brown sugar, this ingredient is optional, salt, baking powder, unsalted butter at room temperature, large eggs at room temperature, apple juice at room temperature, whole milk, 2 red apples, pecan halves or chopped pecans, Quaker oats, vanilla extract, butter extract, almond extract, ground cinnamon, ground nutmeg, ground allspice, and some confectioner sugar. And to bake your apple cinnamon crunch cake, you will need some Baker's Joy nonstick baking spray and a Fat Daddy-O tube pan. Now this is a 10.5 inch in diameter, 16 cup in capacity tube pan. And you will also need a food processor and an 11 by 17 inch baking pan with a cooling rack. And there we have it. All right, let's get straight to it. So I'm gonna go ahead and rinse off my apples. All right, now I placed my apples in this air fryer basket. As you can see, I added a third additional apple, but that's mine. I'm gonna eat that with some oatmeal. Now I'm gonna go ahead and place that in my air fryer. Now I'm gonna place these in my air fryer on 400 degrees for 30 minutes. But if you're using an oven, just put the apples in a pan, place it in a preheated 350 degree oven for about 30 to 40 minutes. All right, it's been about 30 minutes now. Let's check on our apples. Well, that looks good. You see how they look? They're also very soft. Exactly what we're looking for. Now I'm gonna just remove the skin off of the apple. All right, now I'm gonna just go ahead and just remove the puree off of the apple. Just get rid of this because that's a part of the core. Now that we have our apple puree separated and ready to go, now we're just going to take a spoon and we're just going to mash it up. Alright, I've taken the apple puree and I added it into this measuring cup. You should have about a half a cup of this apple puree. Alright, so in our food processor, we're going to add 1 1/4 cups of pecan halves or chopped pecans. And I'm going to blend this for about 30 to 40 seconds. There we have it. Alright, I've transferred the pecan mixture into this medium-sized bowl. We're going to add a half a cup of rolled oats. I'm going to add about a half to 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. And I'm going to just give this a quick stir. Alright, let's get started making our cake batter. So for our dry ingredients, here I have a medium-sized bowl with a mesh strainer. We're going to add 3 cups of all-purpose flour, 1 1/2 teaspoons of baking powder, and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Now if you want to add spices to your cake, you could add about 1 1/2 to 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, 1/4 to a half a teaspoon of nutmeg, and about a half a teaspoon of allspice if you want to add the spices in it. Now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just sift the dry ingredients into this medium-sized bowl. Now I'm going to go ahead and give this a quick stir. Alright, now let's get started with our wet ingredients. So in a separate medium-sized bowl, remember our apple puree, about a half a cup, right on in there. And to that we're going to add 1 cup of apple juice at room temperature, 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, 1 teaspoon of butter extract, and a half a teaspoon of almond extract. Now you can reduce this to 1/4 teaspoon if you like. I'm going to just take my whisk and just give this a quick stir. Now you don't have to add the almond extract into the mixture if you don't want to add it in there. Alright, so in our stand mixer filled with the paddle attachment, we're going to add 3 sticks of unsalted butter softened and at room temperature. It's a little bit too soft, but as long as it's soft, that's all that matters. And to that we're going to add 2 3/4 cups of sugar. If you're adding the brown sugar, add 1 1/2 cups of the regular sugar and 1 1/4 cups of the brown sugar. Now I'm going to start my mixer on a medium-low speed just to get that butter and sugar incorporated. Then I'm going to turn the mixer up to the highest setting and I'm going to mix this on high speed for 6 minutes. Now at some point during those 6 minutes, you're going to go ahead and stop your mixer. And you're going to scrape down the sides of your bowl. And you're going to continue mixing that in. Alright. Scrape down the sides of your bowl. Now I'm going to add 5 large eggs in at room temperature, one at a time while mixing on a medium speed. Alright, straight down the sides of your bowl. Okay, now we're going to alternate our all-purpose flour batter and our apple mixture into the batter 3 separate times while mixing on a medium-low speed. Alright, now I'm going to add my first amount of the all-purpose flour mixture and some of my apple mixture. It doesn't have to be any specific measurement or anything like that. We're just going to add it in here 3 separate times. Now I'm going to mix this on a medium-low speed until combined. Alright, good. Scrape down the sides of my bowl. Now this took no more than 30 seconds to mix entirely. Alright, now I'm going to add the second amount of the all-purpose flour mixture and some more of the apple mixture. And again, I'm going to mix this on a medium-low to low speed until combined. Alright. Scrape down the sides of my bowl. Now I'm going to add the last amount of the all-purpose flour mixture. Just dump it all in there. And the last little bit of my apple mixture. And again, I'm going to mix this on a medium-low to low speed until combined. Alright, scrape down the sides of my bowl, and our apple cake mixture is now ready. Smells like apples, that's for sure. I could imagine how it's going to smell when it bakes. Alright, here I have my tube pan, and I'm going to just take some softened butter, and I'm just going to spread that around the bottom and onto the sides of the tube pan. Get all in the middle too, right here. Make sure you have enough to coat the middle. I'm also spread the pan with some Baker's Joy non-stick baking spray. A little extra layer just as a precaution, you know. Sprinkle a little bit. Alright, now we have our pan coated and ready to go. Now we're going to add our pecans, our pecan and oatmeal mixture. Down to the bottom. Put some in the middle as well. I also want to place some on the outside as well. Take whatever rest you have and just put that along the sides. Just turn it. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and preheat my oven to 325 degrees. Alright, now I'm going to add my apple cake batter carefully into the tube pan. Try to add it in here as even as possible. Now I filled the pan at least about halfway up. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just sprinkle some cinnamon on top. Be any amount, doesn't really matter. And I also have my pecan oat mixture. You could just take a little bit of that and just sprinkle that in there as well. Now we're going to add the rest of our cake batter. Alright, now I'm going to just take my spoon and I'm just going to swirl that cinnamon and that corn and oatmeal mixture into cake batter. Be careful not to hit the bottom now. I'm going to sprinkle just a little bit more cinnamon on top. And add some more of my pecan oatmeal mixture. Alright, now y'all, to make the batter more even, just shake your pan slightly. A little tap as well at the bottom, make sure it's all good to go. Now it is ready to be baked. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and place this into a preheated 325 degree oven on the bottom rack. And I'm going to just bake this until it's done. It normally take about an hour and 10 minutes, but I'm going to let you know the full baking time once it's done, alright? Alright, it's been about 1 hour and 10 minutes for our cake, and it should be done. It smells great. Now let's go ahead and remove this out of the oven. Toothpick inserted into the cake. should come out clean. Now you're going to let the cake cool for about 4 to 5 hours before you flip it out of the pan. Alright, my cake has cooled completely and I flipped it onto this cooling rack with an 11 by 17 inch baking pan underneath it. Ready to see it? 1, 2, 3. Voila! Alright, let's get started with making our apple autumn icing. So in this medium-sized bowl, we're going to add 1 1/2 cups of confectioner sugar, 4 tablespoons of melted unsalted butter, 2 tablespoons of warm whole milk, 2 tablespoons of warm apple juice, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, 1/2 teaspoon of butter extract, 1/8 teaspoon of almond extract, 1/8 teaspoon of cinnamon, 1/8 teaspoon of nutmeg, and 1/8 teaspoon of allspice. Now I'm going to take my whisk and just stir this until creamy and smooth. Now you can adjust the spices and the cinnamon to your liking. If you want to add more, you can do so. There we go. Our icing is now ready. Now if you want your icing to be thicker, you could add less of the liquid ingredients, or you could just let this sit for a couple of minutes and it'll thicken on its own. And I'm going to go ahead and pour the icing on top of the cake. Now as a little final garnish, I took some of my pecans and rolled oats and put them in the oven on 400 degrees for about 2 minutes. Now this is an optional step. If you don't want to do this, you don't have to. I'm going to just take it and just sprinkle it on top of the icing. I'm also going to lightly add some, sprinkle some cinnamon on top. Now we're going to let the icing set for about 15 to 30 minutes before serving. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Homemade apple cinnamon crunch cake made by New Orleans native. Now it's time to grate it. Take a bite. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Y'all, this cake is fantastic. I mean, it has a nice light crunch on the outside of the cake, and the crunch is all around the cake. It's just not around the outside. It's at the bottom too. And it has a nice little apple flavor with that cinnamon swirl glaze. It's also a little dense, not too dense to where it's like completely saturated, moist. Absolutely delicious, y'all. I mean, this is a wonderful, fantastic cake. Really good. So, give the recipe a try. Hey y'all, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you like my channel, hit that subscribe button. Hit the bell button if you want to be notified of my videos. I have an official website for all of my recipes, including this fabulous apple cinnamon crunch cake. You can go to www.charlottecooksandries.com. I'm also on Facebook and on Instagram under the name Charlotte Cook Andrews. So until next time, take care, and I hope you all have a great day. Peace.
Greetings, beloved. Hope you're doing well after this awesome Thanksgiving season. As we go into the month of December, we're excited about the manifold blessings that God is providing to our church fellowship. Just a few key dates for you to remember. December 4th, that is this Saturday, we're coming into the building to handle God's business. If you want a scripture text to guide you, it's Haggai 1:7-8. This is what the Lord Almighty says. Give careful thought to your ways. Go up into the mountains and bring down timber and build my house so that I may take pleasure in it and be honored. So we want to honor God as we look to reopen the doors of Tabernacle Baptist Church. This Saturday, December 4th, we will start at 8:30 with the men's Bible study. We invite all brothers to attend. Please bring a friend. Then at 9:30, we're going into our reopening workshop where we're going to be exploring procedures and protocols for the reopening of our church to keep everybody safe. We're also paying attention to the numbers that may be affecting us here in the Montgomery County. But we want to covenant with God. We want to be consecrated. We want to make sure you, my brothers and my sisters, are safe, whether you're worshiping with us online or in person. So this is our prayer. We're going into a workshop on that at 9:30. And then right after that, 10:30, beloved, we're going into our Grass to Grace beautification project. You know, some days ago, and you've seen the pictures where we came in to celebrate and to consecrate our church, to make it look nice, painting and fixing and repairing the grounds and the building. Well, this Saturday, we're going to be going into that right after the reopening workshop. We ask that you come, bring your tools, come with a great attitude, ready to work. We're going to be fixing and repairing. The buildings and grounds team is going to be ready to go. And so please come, spend some time with us, pray with us as we look to take care of God's house. We take this very seriously, but more importantly, we want God to get the honor, and we want us to fellowship in what we call koinonia, consecrated, intimate fellowship, as we build the house of God. So we're excited about what the Lord is doing. We're excited about the reopening, and stay tuned and you'll hear more about what the Lord is doing vis-a-vis our leadership team. God bless you. Stay connected, stay committed, and stay consecrated. This is Tecumbo Adelakon, the Tabernacle Baptist Church of Dayton, Ohio. God bless you.